How's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of Pokemon Journeys. Today we're going to be covering episode 43, which is part 2 of the Sword and Shield arc, titled The Black Knight. And wow, there was a lot going on in this episode, so this is going to be kind of a lengthy review. But we have Ash and Leon, they're continuing to go after the Dynamax and Gigantamax and Pokemon and calming them down. Whereas Goh, he goes off with Sonia and does some research, and a lot of stuff happens in this episode. So before we get on to the review, I just want to say if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell because, sometimes my video doesn't pop up in subscription boxes, so you might want to do that as well. Like the video if you like Pokemon related content, because I cover this series on a weekly basis, or whenever the episodes come out. So yeah, I'd encourage you to do that. Anyways, let's get on to that review, shall we? Okay, we start this episode off with the reveal that Team Rocket are actually working undercover at Macrocosmos. It looks like they're doing construction work, or mine work, something. But anyways, they're working undercover from Giovanni. Giovanni obviously wants Eternatus. I don't know how he caught wind of this Pokemon or knows what's going on, but apparently he's aware, so he sends Team Rocket here to work undercover. So it's kind of like when Team Rocket were working undercover for the Aether Foundation, when they were working under Faba back in Sun and Moon. Kind of the same thing here, except different circumstances, obviously. But yeah, they're trying to find ways to capture this Pokemon or try and find out where it's at. Now, moving on, Goh and Sonia have arrived in Turffield, and Goh and Reboot didn't exactly have a good time on the way to Turffield because Sonia's driving was kind of bad. She's shown to be kind of a crazy driver and a bit of a leadfoot, so it kind of freaked them out. I don't know, I thought that was funny. But anyways, they've come to see the geoglyph that's over from the games, and they're looking at it and they're kind of trying to figure out what this means. And Sonia, she has stuff that she's trying to research. She's obviously looking into the Darkest Day, the hero of the Sword and Shield, and kind of what connects everything, and possibly having a link between that and Dynamaxing. So she's been given homework to kind of figure all this out. So she's trying to connect the dots here and trying to figure out how this all relates. And Goh looks at it and realizes that it looks like a Pokemon that Dynamaxed. And the interesting thing here is that when she's mentioning all this stuff about the Darkest Day and how is this related to it, and Goh mentions that he actually had an encounter with Lugia, which was back in episode 2, and it was surrounded by dark clouds. And there may be a connection here, and Sonia actually realizes that this actually might be a bit of a breakthrough, which I thought was pretty interesting. It's also pretty interesting in reference to the max raids from the Sword and Shield games, and how there are raids, and how everything's kind of all related. So it's kind of nice to see how the anime is kind of tying everything up this way. Interesting thing too is because the series is kind of episodic and they're referencing older episodes, so not really so episodic anymore, is it? Now, back at the underground facility at Macrocosmos, Team Rocket actually stumbled across where Eternatus is at. Of course, they want to plot to capture this Pokemon. But we have the chairman and Ordelana that are there. And Chairman Rose over here is like, yeah, the Darkest Day is coming back. I'm not really sure if he has the same reasonings behind doing this as he had in the games. But, because it's kind of, it's somewhat vague right now, because we haven't gotten to that whole plot line about how years from now the Galar region's going to be, possibly in trouble due to its, resources running out. I don't know if we're going to have the same kind of dialogue here. This arc so far has been pretty faithful, for the most part, to the game's storyline. So that could be his reasoning. But as of right now, we don't know, but he wants the second Darkest Day to come back. That's all we know now, but it looks like some more Galar particles shoot out of Eternatus, and this time it hits a Colossal, which Gigantamax is. Now, back to Goh and Sonia. So, they're actually on their way to Professor Magnolia's, and they don't even realize that they're both heading the same area, because Sonia asks Goh, where he's going, or where he needs to go. And Goh's like, I need to go visit Professor Magnolia. And Sonia's over here like, yeah, actually, we're heading to the same place because, yeah, I'm kind of her granddaughter. And she's the one that's giving me all this homework to do all this research. While they're on their way, they also discuss some pictures, which I believe, I remember correctly, it's been a little while since I've played the main game in Sword and Shield. But they're talking about the 2 heroes, or there possibly being 2 heroes instead of 1. I believe that was mentioned around the 6th gym in that town. I can't really remember. Someone in the comment section let me know when this part took place, because I can't quite remember. But I remember this took place at some point in the game. It was like towards later on in Gym Challenge. I just remember that. But they're talking about the 2 heroes, and they realized that maybe there wasn't just 1 hero. They recognized, that in the legend there was 1 hero, but maybe there was 2. But anyways, there's some interesting dialogue here. So Goh is talking to Sonia, and Sonia actually mentions to Goh that they're talking about Leon, and she brings up the fact that actually her and Leon are actually childhood friends, and I thought this was a really interesting scene. I liked this a lot. But she basically tells them that, yeah, she's actually the one that taught Leon how to do Pokemon battles, but he was basically a natural talent, and basically, surpassed her and went on to become champion, and basically left her in the dirt. So since she can't really beat him in battle, she's trying something else. So she wants to be a Pokemon professor, and I thought that was pretty interesting. So we get a little bit more background on Leon and Sonia as a result, and I thought that was really nice. And I also like the fact she reaffirms her goal. And Goh has his own goal, which he mentions to her along the way as well. So I like that. I thought that was a pretty nice scene. Now, to Ash and Leon. They're actually heading out. They're fighting all the Pokemon that are Gigantamaxing and Dynamaxing and calming them down. And that's when they catch wind of the Colossal that Gigantamax. So they go and they battle it, and I thought it was pretty cool that Ash used Gengar here, which he hasn't really used Gengar a lot lately, so it's pretty cool to see Gengar finally back in action, even though it was for a very brief time. But anyways, they calm down the Pokemon. I thought this scene was actually really interesting. So as soon as they calm down Colossal, the workers at the mine that were they're getting trampled, their mine's getting kind of wrecked because of the Colossal just destroying and just mindlessly destroying the area. They actually start hurling rocks at this Pokemon. I thought this was a kind of a cruel scene, but I see why they did it. They're obviously mad that this Pokemon was trying to harm them, so they're basically telling them, go away, you ruined this place, never come back. And Ash jumps in and is like, hey, stop it, guys. It's not its fault. It did this. It didn't mean to do this. It was beyond its control when it got hit by this thing, so please stop. And yeah, I don't know. I thought that was it's a cruel scene, but a really interesting scene right there, because it shows that, hey, people have different reactions to what's going on. Like, they might be freaked out by what's going on. They might realize that this Pokemon's doing this and they're not like this. But then in other scenarios, they might not really be too familiar with the Pokemon. So as soon as this Pokemon goes out of control and starts destroying the area, obviously, they don't want this Pokemon around. So I thought that was a really interesting scene. I don't know if the dub is going to show them throwing rocks at the Pokemon, but yeah, it was an interesting scene nonetheless. So I want to mention really quickly that at the end of last week's episode, there was a guy that was following Goh and Sonia as they were heading off to Turffield. As I'm going to dub this guy as Bootleg Giovanni here. Turns out he's under Oleana's orders, and she basically has caught on to them snooping around, kind of just trying to figure out what's going on, and kind of realizes that they're up to no good and they might end up finding out what they're up to. So she wants them taken out. So this guy is actually pursuing them to take him out. But anyways, Chairman Rose and Oleana show up and they meet Ash. So Ash meets Chairman Rose. And the interesting thing here is that Leon introduces Ash to the chairman, and Leon's actually talked about Ash to the chairman, and he's become interested in him and invites him out to dinner. Ash, wanting to be with Leon and help the people of Galar, realizing that they're in like a serious crisis because it's to the point where people and Pokemon are in serious danger of dying, and they want to do something. They need to stop all this going on, and Ash obviously wants to help out. So Leon wants to go in the mine and do some work in there, figure out what's going on, and help the people that are in there. And Ash wants to come with them, but he's hungry, so Chairman Rose is like, hey, let's go out to dinner. I'll treat you. So Ash heads out with the chairman. So back to Goh and Sonia, and I know I'm jumping between different scenes in this episode, but this episode just shifted between all kinds of characters, so we're just jumping around here. So, anyways, we go back to Goh and Sonia, and they arrive at Magnolia's place, and a wishing star just falls out of the sky out of nowhere. And Goh ends up meeting the professor here, and a lot of the stuff that she talks about is a lot of stuff from the games. So we learn a few things. We learn about Dynamaxing, what causes that. It turns out it's like the Galarian particles. That's what causes the Dynamax phenomenon to happen. And the only areas that are known to have Pokemon to Dynamax or Gigantamax are in the wild area, in dens, and in the stadiums, because there are power spots that are specifically there so that these Pokemon can Dynamax/Gigantamax. But it seems like we got a little bit of an issue here, because Pokemon are just randomly Dynamaxing everywhere, because these particles are just shooting all over the place. So something's obviously going on. And we learn a few other things too. We also learned that Magnolia here actually created the Dynamax band, along with Chairman Rose, but it seems like there's something going on between these two, but she doesn't want to reveal it just yet. Anyways, Sonia actually gives Goh a Dynamax band. So, pretty cool. So, not only does Ash have one, Goh also has one too, and so it's pretty interesting because Ash got his from Leon, and Ash is with Leon, or at least he was for the first part of this episode and part of last week's episode. And Goh has been with Sonia, so it kind of makes sense that he gets his Dynamax band from her. So that's pretty cool. But, yeah. Yeah, we learned a lot of stuff that's going on here is just stuff that is pretty much from the game, so I'm not going to reiterate it here. But I will say that Sonia does present her homework to her grandmother, which is impressed. However, it's incomplete. She still doesn't know anything about the heroes and how it's related to the Darkest Day, so she's basically sent out to do more research. So Goh and her are going to be going out and doing some more research in the morning. Anyways, moving back to Ash. So Ash is having dinner with the chairman, and they're in Wyndon at Rose Tower. And it looks like they're in a fancy restaurant in the tower, so this tower has a lot of stuff going on in it. So I guess there's a fancy restaurant up there as well, and it's pretty high up, as there's a pretty nice view from the top. It's a nice night, fancy dinner. Ash is having a good time. But Chairman Rose has a reason why he invited Ash out there. So we know that Leon basically was taken under Chairman Rose's wing, and he basically raised him and made him a very prominent trainer. And look at Leon now. He is the champion of Galar and the strongest trainer in the world in the Pokemon World Championships. But Chairman Rose, he basically looks for promising young trainers to take him under his wing and do the same thing he did with Leon. So he offers Ash the opportunity for him to, work with him, and then maybe one day he'll become a promising young trainer himself. So he's essentially grooming Ash to become the next Leon. That's what Chairman Rose likes to do. I believe he did that with Bede in the games. So kind of a reference to that character from the games. But anyways, Ash being Ash, he declines because Ash, he wants to travel all around the world, meet new Pokemon, meet new people, and have a lot of adventures. He just doesn't want to be held, you're just bound to this. It's just not something that's for him. He wants to do his own thing. And Chairman Rose, he actually is okay with this, at least for right now. He seems okay, that is. However, Oleana over here, yeah, she's not too satisfied. She's actually quite angry. So she's pretty much similar to her game counterpart, where she's prone to getting really angry whenever someone tries to get in Chairman Rose's way. And yeah, it looks like Ash is going to face her wrath. After this, Ash ends up spending the night in what looks to be a very fancy hotel, a 5-star hotel. It's probably the hotel that's in Wyndon from the games. But anyways, Goh spending the night at Magnolia as they call each other, and Goh lets Ash know, hey, I'm heading out with Sonia in the morning to do some more research. And Ash tells him, hey, I'll join you. But anyways, Leon here, he's become kind of suspicious of the chairman after what he was saying earlier. So basically, before they split ways earlier, the chairman was like, hey, I've been doing some research into this, and I can't really figure it out, but maybe maybe this is just a trial, and this is something that could be beneficial for the future of Galar. And this is something that Leon is starting to get a little suspicious about, and he's wondering what the chairman is up to. It looks like he's about to find out in the next episode. Now, before Goh and Sonia head out, Magnolia actually stops them. She has something she has to tell them, and it has to do with Chairman Rose, and the reason why she basically broke off relationships from him. It seems like everything was good in the beginning, but she realized that at some point that his eyes, his heart and his eyes are just filled with madness, and that he'll do anything possible to accomplish his goals. Whatever it takes, he will accomplish it no matter what. And it sounds like she's kind of connecting the dots here, and she's beginning to think, she doesn't have proof, but she thinks that maybe Chairman Rose here might be involved with all the Pokemon that are just randomly Gigantamaxing and Dynamaxing. So she basically tells him, hey, be careful, because he's potentially dangerous, and he might be behind all this, so be careful. But unfortunately for Sonia and Goh, they're actually being trailed by bootleg Giovanni over here, as he's been hanging out presumably all night waiting for them to head out. I don't know why he didn't do anything here, but whatever. Anywho, Goh and Sonia, they arrive at Stoneside. They're looking at the mural, they're trying to do their research. That's when they get confronted by bootleg Giovanni over here, who's like, alright guys, you're gonna come with me, and if you don't do anything, I promise I won't hurt you. Just come with me and everything will be okay. Of course they're not gonna go with them. Yeah, this guy's gonna just dispose of them. So, Goh faces off against him with Reboot, and he has a Garbodor, and he immediately Gigantamaxes this Pokemon, because it turns out there's a power spot here. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting. So, Goh realizes, hey, if that's the case, let me Dynamax Reboot, because I just got the Dynamax ban from Sonia, and he does that. And it's pretty interesting, because Goh did this, Ash already Dynamaxed with Pikachu, but he didn't actually put his Pokemon back on a Pokeball and throw it. Goh actually did that before Ash, so I thought that was pretty interesting. But he ends up Dynamaxing Reboot, and they face off, but Reboot actually trips and falls, and it's actually a miracle he didn't step on anybody. But anyways, he actually ends up destroying the mural, which reveals the doggo statues. And before we can go any further, the episode comes in with these two Pokemon ready to face off against each other. Okay, so I know this episode review has been very long so far, so just bear with me for a little bit. But I just want to say right now that I think this arc could potentially be one of the best arcs in Pokemon, because so far we're 2 episodes in, 2 out of 4, and it has been great. I want to see more arcs and journeys if this is the case. If they're going to be this good, then we need more arcs and journeys for sure. No more episodic BS. But all jokes aside, yeah, this has been great so far. I'm just hoping that the ending for this arc lands. If it lands, yeah, this might actually surpass the Flare arc as my favorite Pokemon story arc in the series. It's just been so great so far. And I love the fact that a lot of the characters are similar to how they were in the games. They're just being expanded upon a little bit. A lot of stuff is kind of faithful to the games, which I think is pretty nice and kind of refreshing. Because the anime usually changes stuff up from the games. And obviously there are some differences here. But there's a lot of stuff that's very faithful to the games. Just a beat some differences, obviously. And certain characters aren't here for it. But I'm just loving this arc so far. And if I'm being honest, that's pretty much all I got. There isn't really too many things I didn't like in this episode. I thought this was a very solid episode, and I'm hoping that the arc continues to get better. Because I'm going to give this episode a solid 9 out of 10. So guys, in the comment section down below, what did you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Post your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Like the video. And I'll talk to you all later. Have a happy Halloween. And I'll talk to you all later. See ya.